A Republican strategist went on MSNBC to talk about how Kamala's disconnect with voters is really bad, and MSNBC got mad about it. The clip's a little long, guys, but it's really good throughout, so I included the whole thing. Here it is.
And this is sound of Donald Trump at his rally in North Carolina today without Mark Robinson. And what he had to say about Oprah?
Did you see her on Oprah? That's not going to be president. Oprah didn't know what the hell to do. Oprah was like embarrassed. She wanted to hide under the table. But she's a professional and she was able to sort of disguise it. No, she wanted to go right under the table.
Whitley, why does Donald Trump lie like that? I mean, everybody knows. Come on.
I think that there were times during that interview where it looked like Oprah was trying to figure out where VP Harris was going. And I think when we're looking at this circumspectly, when we're talking about battleground states and talking to working everyday Americans, utilizing a billionaire who's not dealing with the cost of inflation, with stagnant wages, with stagnant industries is really just out of touch. And I think that's what he really meant to say, is that hiding behind Hollywood as opposed to really just talking about the policies of your administration may not be working specifically in battleground states.
That is literally rich, Whitley.
Thank you.
I mean,
it's wealthy. It's wealthy. It's wealthy.
A rich man. Come on.
A couple of things here. So Oprah is one of the only people who has been able to have an audience of 20 million people for over many, many years. So I mean, she is a professional here, and she does have an audience, and she knows how to coordinate or how to appeal to wide audiences. The second thing is I'm really tired of all of the surrogates and Donald Trump and JD Vance all saying this. That's not what the candidates are saying. That is not what they're doing. They're insulting people personally. They're being mean. They're being really vindictive. They're not sticking to the issues. And if they were sticking to the issues and saying what you think they mean to say, we'd be in a much different race. But they can't control themselves, and they just need to be mean and vindictive. And that's not winning them the independent voters.
Well, I definitely don't need a history lesson on Oprah, who's Black history, because I'm very familiar with all that she has done. But what I'm saying is when you're talking to people specifically in a state where the average salary is $49,000, bringing a billionaire up on stage is going to present out of touch, specifically for working class Americans. And let me explain why. It's because the issues that they're talking about does not impact her the same, as opposed to having working class people maybe engaging with her, maybe a town hall forum. She has been utilizing celebrities to promote her campaign, as opposed to utilizing working class people or utilizing them to speak to working class people. And there is a disconnect.
I don't know. I mean, did you watch the town? I mean, it was a town hall. It was a town hall style forum, and Oprah Winfrey is. I mean, she's not a talk show host now or a journalist now, but it was like watching Oprah from the 90s and the 80s.
And also the polls are closing, so clearly she's doing something right, because she's meeting people where they are, because she is now leading in the polls, and she's closing on issues that were Donald Trump's, like the economy and immigration. So something is working.
But polls are a snapshot in time, and we all know that, right? She was just down in the polls, specifically losing with African-American men, and this doesn't necessarily help her. When you see her utilizing celebrities in this way, when they want policies, they don't want the performance of Hollywood within their political spheres.
I mean,
some kudos to her for showing that much restraint in that interview, because I cannot say that I would have showed the same amount of restraint if I had been in her situation. One of the biggest weaknesses of the Democrats is the fact that they are ruled by the elites. This is one thing that I'm very optimistic about when we talk about kind of the longevity of the Republican Party versus the Democrat Party. Those MSNBC hosts are part of that elite. They're, again, people have said it before. I'm not the first one to say it, but the mainstream media and the Democrat Party, they're one. These are not separate entities. This is one entity. And of course, there are other things included in that, like Big Pharma, Big Tech, and Hollywood, which is kind of what they're talking about right here. They think that Oprah is the person. That just shows kind of how elitist they are. And you can tell how much of a bubble they're in, those MSNBC hosts. They think that Oprah is the person that really makes you feel understood. Yeah, that billionaire mogul, she really speaks to me. Something, just the way her life has been, super similar to mine. Part of the problem that Democrats have is that they have to say the economy is doing really well right now. This is obviously something they were focusing on in this kind of debate interview with this Republican strategist. The problem for Democrats is because Kamala Harris is in charge right now. And despite them trying to, spin this like she's not the incumbent, deep down people know that she is. And they know that even if people aren't smart enough to see that Kamala Harris is in the White House right now, they at least know that Democrats are the ones in charge. And so whether or not she likes it or whether or not these MSNBC hosts like it, it's the Democrats' economy. But when it comes from Oprah saying that the economy is great, it feels like an insult. I mean, that's really insulting for Democrats to be in power, for a known Democrat, Oprah, to get up, a billionaire, and say, the economy's doing great. It's great. And you're sitting here like, no, no, no. You can say it's great. You can even pull up stats that may or may not be true, but I know it's not great. And you know why I know? Because I can't get a job, because inflation is up. You know, it's very simple. It's as simple as eggs cost 2 times more than they did 5 years ago. It's that simple. Or I can't buy a house right now. You can pull up all the stats you want. You can bring out the Oprahs. You can bring out the Mark Cubans. But here's the deal. If I can't buy a house and something changed in the last 4 years and Democrats have been in charge for the last 4 years, I'm going to blame the Democrats. And bringing Oprah out to tell me I'm wrong is all that more insulting. On Trump's side, though, Trump, on the other hand, has the great benefit of saying that the economy is bad. He can outright say what is true, and that's really nice for him. Again, despite him being a billionaire, he's in the same kind of category as Oprah in a weird way, where he also is a billionaire, but he has the benefit of not having to lie. And he gets to look at people and say, oh yeah, no, it sucks. It sucks. If Trump was saying everything was great right now, it would fall flat. If he had been president for the last 4 years, had the economy been bad, and he had said it was great, people would absolutely hate Donald Trump like people hate Oprah right now. But his message is very different. He's saying, I used to be one of those guys. I used to be an Oprah, Mark Cuban, one of those billionaire TV personalities, and they're all corrupt. And since that, I left, and since I left office back in 2021, things have gone to crap. That's a pretty compelling message, a lot more compelling than another billionaire just looking at you and being like, things are great for you. Especially Oprah. I mean, again, the Maui, just going back to Maui from last year, if you guys remember this, Oprah is literally talking to you about how great things are while everything around her burned but her mansion. I feel like that's a really good analogy for what's happening in America right now. You have these leftist billionaires telling you how great everything is. Everything's burning around them, but because they're in it, they're the ones funding the Democrats, and they're corrupt, and they're insider trading, and all that goes into that, their house is the only one not burned. So Oprah really is the perfect example of that. And what is the media's response to all of this? Those MSNBC hosts who are part of the elite, that guy just, come on. That's it. There's no counter argument. There's no counter argument even offered. He just, come on, let's not. Blah, blah, blah. That's all he does the whole time. The girl kind of tried a counter argument. It wasn't successful. The Republican strategist had them the whole time. It was just them rolling their eyes at her because, again, they're part of the elite, so they're also out of touch. Those people, this is, I think, what's the most shocking, is there a group out there on the left that is lying to you? For sure. I'm actually not convinced that those MSNBC hosts are lying. That's how crazy this is. There may be like a degree deep down in them where they know, yeah, this is kind of dishonest, but I actually think they have pulled themselves so much into a bubble where they're part of, again, the mainstream media elite, Hollywood elite, Democrat elite. It's all one group. They talk, they hang out. They have literally convinced themselves that the economy is good. They have literally convinced themselves that Kamala Harris is going to fix immigration, where she's actively not right now, and it's her job. Those are just a couple of examples. And so it's actually more sinister than them lying, even though, of course, deep down they do know. I actually think, though, in that moment when they're talking to that Republican strategist, I think they're telling the truth. And it's really scary because it shows how out of touch they are. By the way, there are receipts for all of this, what I'm saying. If you look at the most recent polling, and when I say receipts, what I mean is this is not going to have good consequences for Democrats. If you look at the most recent polling, the demographics that are doing worse for Kamala Harris than Joe Biden in 2020, which again, you got to remember, Joe Biden in 2020 was razor thin. He barely won that. So anytime we're talking about something worse for Kamala Harris than Joe Biden, we're basically talking about a Trump win. Again, these are the demographics that are doing worse for Kamala than Biden in 2020, or right now in 2024. Blacks, Hispanics, and young people. Now you're going to hear that. No. Blacks and Hispanics and young people go overwhelmingly for Democrats. Yes, they do. But if you look at the polling right now, I saw a poll just today from, I think it was Axios, that said that right now the swing for young voters for Kamala Harris is 55 to 45 Trump. Those numbers are not good for her. Yes, she's winning them, but you have to understand in some of these demographics like blacks, Hispanics, and young people, they went overwhelmingly for Joe Biden. And we're seeing 5, 10, 15, 20-point swings towards Donald Trump. If that's true and these polls do hold true, it's going to be a landslide win for Donald Trump. And what's ironic about it is it's not going to be because of white people. It's not going to be because of rural people. It's literally going to be because of the demographics that Democrats have said have been their stronghold for so long. But because they're so out of touch, it's going to bite them in the butt. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please go down below, comment, like, and subscribe, and watch another video.